Before we get into this, one thing needs to be said clearly. Clinical depression is real. It is a genuine medical condition that affects millions of men and deserves real professional support. If you are in crisis, if you feel genuinely unable to function, if the darkness you're carrying feels beyond what this video can reach, please talk to someone. A doctor, a therapist, someone you trust. This video is not a replacement for that. What this video is a conversation about a different kind of emptiness, one that is just as real, just as heavy, and just as common, but has a different cause and a different fix. If any of this resonates, keep watching. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Get the help you need. You wake up and nothing feels worth getting up for. The day stretches out in front of you, flat, gray, pointless. You're not sad exactly, not in a way you can explain. Just empty, unmotivated, disconnected, going through the motions of a life that doesn't feel like yours. You've started calling it depression. Maybe someone else called it that for you. And maybe they're right. But before you accept that label, before you conclude that something is chemically broken inside you, there is a question worth asking first. Not to dismiss what you're feeling, it is real, it is heavy, and it deserves a real answer. The question is this: do you have a direction? Not a vague wish, not a someday dream. A real direction, something you're building, something that requires you, something that would feel like a loss if you stopped showing up for it. Because there is a specific kind of emptiness, one that millions of men are living inside right now, that is not depression. It is the emptiness of a life without purpose. And those two things require completely different responses. Today, I'm breaking down the difference and what actually fills the void. Smash like, subscribe for more Sigma Mindset content, and let's get into it. Clinical depression is a medical condition. It involves specific neurological and biological factors: disrupted sleep, changed appetite, persistent sadness, an inability to feel pleasure even in things that once brought it, often with no identifiable external cause. It does not always respond to lifestyle changes alone. It often requires professional support, sometimes medication, and always compassion. What we are talking about today is different. It is existential emptiness, the specific heaviness that descends on a man who has no mission, no direction, no sense that his existence is pointed toward anything that matters. The symptoms can look almost identical from the outside. Low motivation, low energy, a pervasive flatness, difficulty caring about things, a feeling that something is wrong but an inability to name what. But the cause is different. And because the cause is different, the cure is different. You cannot medicate your way out of a purposeless life. You cannot think your way out of it in a therapist's office. You can only build your way out of it. One direction, one commitment, one reason to get up that is bigger than just getting through the day. Truth 1: human beings are wired to need purpose, and suffering without it is not a malfunction. This is not a modern self-help idea. It is one of the most consistent findings across psychology, philosophy, and human history. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps, spent his life studying what kept men alive under the most brutal conditions imaginable. His conclusion was clear. Men who had a reason to live, a purpose, a person, a mission, survived at far higher rates than those who had lost one. Not because they were physically stronger, because they had something to endure for. Purpose is not a luxury, it is a biological and psychological need. When it is absent, the system registers a kind of emergency. Low drive, low mood, low energy, a pervading sense that something is fundamentally wrong. That is not your brain misfiring. That is your brain correctly identifying that something is missing. The emptiness is not the problem, It is the signal. And the signal is telling you one thing. You need a direction, and you don't have one yet. Truth 2, a comfortable, aimless life, is one of the most psychologically damaging things a man can live. This is the paradox that most men never see coming. They spent years working towards stability, a decent job, a place to live, enough money to get by, some degree of comfort. And when they got there, they expected to feel okay. Instead, they felt worse. Because comfort without direction is not rest. It is stagnation dressed as safety. The human mind needs challenge, progress, the feeling that effort is producing something, that the man showing up today is building toward a version of himself worth becoming. Without that, the mind turns inward, and inward without direction becomes dark. Anxiety without a source, restlessness without an outlet, a creeping sense of waste, of time passing, of potential sitting unused, of a life unlived. This is not weakness. This is what happens to any system designed for growth when growth is removed. The answer is not more comfort. The answer is a worthy challenge. Something hard enough to require you fully, something real enough to make the effort feel meaningful, something that pulls you forward instead of leaving you to drift. Truth 3, action comes before feeling, not after. Here is the mistake most men make when they are living in this emptiness. They wait to feel better before they start. They tell themselves, when the motivation comes back, I'll begin. When I feel ready, I'll move. When the heaviness lifts, I'll build. But the heaviness doesn't lift first. The action lifts it. This is one of the most well-documented findings in behavioral psychology. Motivation is not the cause of action, it is the result of it. The man who waits to feel motivated before going to the gym waits forever. The man who goes to the gym before he feels like it finds the motivation arriving 10 minutes in. The same is true of purpose. You do not find your direction by thinking about it, by waiting for clarity, by hoping inspiration arrives. You find it by moving, by trying something, committing to something, building something, even imperfectly, even uncertainly, and letting the meaning emerge from the doing. Direction is not a revelation, it is a construction. And it is built one action at a time, starting before you feel ready. Starting especially before you feel ready. Truth 4, the body is the first place to start. When everything feels heavy and directionless, before the business plan, before the life vision, before the grand purpose is discovered. Start with the body. Not because physical fitness is the answer to everything, but because the body is the one area where the feedback loop between effort and result is immediate, undeniable, and entirely within your control. You train today, your body responds. You eat well today, your energy shifts. You sleep properly tonight, your mind is clearer tomorrow. That loop, effort producing visible, felt results, rebuilds something that purposeless living destroys. The belief that your actions matter, that you are capable of changing something, that the man showing up today has real agency over what he becomes. That belief, rebuilt through the body first, spreads into how you carry yourself, how you think, how much you believe a direction is worth pursuing and worth fighting for. The gym is not just exercise. For a man living in emptiness, it is the first proof that he still has the ability to build something. Start there, everything else becomes possible from that foundation. Here is the hardest and most important thing in this entire video. The emptiness you are feeling is not evidence that you are broken. It is evidence that you are capable of more than you are currently doing. A man with no ambition does not feel the ache of a purposeless life. He has already given up, and the system has gone quiet. The fact that you feel the emptiness, that it bothers you, that something in you knows things should be different. That is not depression, that is hunger. Hunger for a life that requires something of you. Hunger for a direction that makes the hard days worth it. Hunger for a version of yourself you haven't built yet, but can feel waiting on the other side of the work. That hunger is not a symptom to be managed. It is a signal to be answered. You are not broken. You are a man without a mission. And that, unlike a chemical imbalance, unlike a diagnosis, unlike something done to you, is something you can fix. Starting today. Starting with one decision, one direction, one step forward into the discomfort of becoming something real. So here's what we covered today. 1. Clinical depression is real, and this video is not about that. 2. Existential emptiness and clinical depression can look the same, but have different causes and different cures. 3. Human beings are wired for purpose. Suffering without it is not a malfunction, it's a signal. 4. Comfortable, aimless living is one of the most quietly damaging things a man can do to himself. 5. Action comes before feeling. You don't wait to feel ready, you move and let the feeling follow. 6. Start with the body. It rebuilds the belief that your actions matter. Here's your one step for today. Not a life plan, not a 5-year vision. One thing, one small direction. Something you can do today that is pointed at who you want to become. A workout, a page of a book, an hour on a skill, one step towards something that feels like yours. Do that today, then tomorrow. And let the direction build itself from the doing. Like this video, if it named something you've been feeling. Subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll keep building this with you. You are not broken. You are just not moving yet. Start moving. I'll see you at the top.